graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. Yeah.
You know what the central finite curve is? They built a wall around infinity. He separated all the infinite universes from all the infinite universes where he's the smartest man in the universe. Every version of us has spent every version of all of our lives in one infinite crib built around an infinite fucking baby. And I'm leaving it. That's what makes me evil. Being sick of him. If you've ever been sick of him, you've been evil too. There you go, kid. Now you're evil Morty too. Sooner or later we all are. On this side of the curve.
Yeah. You would drink yourself to death?
Probably.
Yeah. You've been thinking about your mortality a lot lately, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, you turn 70, and it's you can't run from it.
Ah, fuck! I was hoping you could. You know where I differ from a lot of people?
Really? Really? You're different from a lot of people.
When I have my funeral, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, most of these funerals, crying and sad and everything like that. And that's what I'd like, you know? I don't want, I've heard of other ones. Let's have a party. Whoa.
No party.
There'll be a lot of party days later. But right now, I'm dead. I mean, you know, people should be talking, crying.
Stay the fuck at home.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And Paul, apparently I'm not as beautiful just the way I am.
Do I want to know why we're starting the podcast off like this?
No, but you know what it is? Everyone's like, oh, you gotta be yourself. You gotta, you know, if you're looking for the love of your life, you have to be yourself, and you have to, you gotta find someone who loves you for you and shit. I haven't been looking.
Told you that.
Apparently, I'm not beautiful.
By the way, everybody, welcome back. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Partially.
Yes, it's pretty much Paul's fault. But you pretty much warned me like in the beginning of the summer. You're like, you know, get the kid coming in, stuff like that, and I'm going to be busy. So I'm just happy to record. And what a crazy 2 months it has been. I mean, even for the past 2 weeks alone, is pretty much most of my notes. So, and I've said this on the show before, I've been on furlough from work, since last year, April. And right when, because my daughter's, she was going to summer camp. She went to summer camp for a week, and then there was issues, and it's a long story, but she ended up not going to summer camp. Like, she went for that 1 week, and then everything kind of got shut down. So she was with me all summer. And, you know, to have a kid at home in the summer, and I'm not a social person. I don't want to go out every day. I don't have the funds to go out every day. You know, to have a kid in the house driving you crazy in the summertime it's one thing. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'll deal with the summer, and as soon as the summer's over with, you know, I can actually, start getting things in order, getting my life in order. Because, you know, you can't get shit done with the kid in the house. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't, you know, like someone said, trying to clean your house with a kid at home is like trying to brush your teeth while chewing Oreos.
Try to work pretty much every single day almost, and your significant other works Monday through Friday, and then try to have a babysitter, and then when you're not working, you're the babysitter. So then it's just like, oh, yeah,
that's so as soon the Sunday right before my daughter goes back to school, the bomb was dropped on everyone, or at least millions of people, and with me myself being one of them, that unemployment is no longer covering, if you lost your job because of COVID, or if you're out of the job because of COVID, because fuck you. Now it's funny because like
wait, I thought it was just the 300 was gone.
For me it was all unemployment period.
Oh really?
Yeah, it,
wow.
So, okay. So, and it's funny because they go, because usually unemployment goes by like 6 months to a year, and so like the funny thing is like the message I got from the Department of Labor is like, your year is up. Now mind you, I've been on unemployment since fucking April, so it's been way over a year. So, it's been way over a year, it's almost, 18 months or whatever, or, the year and a half I've pretty much been out of work. And, so I reach out to my boss, and unfortunately things are still slow. And why are things still slow? Because there's fucking idiots out there who still haven't gotten the fucking vaccine. And we have the Delta, and we have the shit, and my particular job, my clientele are older people. That's, the field that I work in, I would say the average customer that I service is at least 65. And so, with that, these people are either not leaving their houses or dying or whatever the case may be. But since these fucking geniuses don't want to fucking vax or mask or whatever, a combination of the both, with all the fucking extra variants, my boss basically is like, look, I want, I would love for me to tell you it's okay, you come back to work now, but it's just the numbers just aren't where they're supposed to be. Can you hold out for a little while longer? So I'm in a fucking, I'm fucking backed into a corner. I got a couple bucks, I can last another month, but I've been starting to, now you have to look into, other avenues of revenue. I sold some plasma the other day.
You sold some plasma.
I went to the the place where you donate plasma. And see, and I learned a lot, because you learn that when you donate plasma, I mean, yes, you're donating plasma, and not, people always equate it with donating blood. And when I say donate, actually that's not a right word. I sold plasma, because you donate blood. You donate blood, like, when your job has like a blood drive or whatever.
So wait. So how much does one get for plasma?
Well, okay, I mean, I guess, fuck it, I'll just tell the numbers, because I guess you can look it up. Your first 3 times are $100 a pop. Mm-hmm. Then for some weird reason, the 4th and 5th time are $50, and then the 6th and 7th time is back to 100.
That's weird.
And you can't give 2 days in a row, and you can't, if you've given 2 days, or like if you came in on Monday and then came in on Wednesday, you have to give it a week from that Monday. Like you within 7 days, you can only give twice, and you can't come 2 days in a row. So, and another thing that sucks is that, and I guess I'll just put it out there, is that, like, the money, the quote unquote money that they give you it's not cash, it's a fucking debit card. And it's one of those fucking janky fucking bullshit debit cards that, it's totally a fucking scam. And if you go to an ATM and like try to look up your fucking, if you try to look up your balance on an ATM, they charge you like 60 cents. And if it's inactive for 3 months, they charge you like $3. And, it's such a fucking janky fucking scam. But, you go and even like the lady there was telling me, like, what most people do, they go to the dollar store, buy something for $1, then get the cash back and get your fucking cash right then and there. So that, that's an option. Like I said, as of right now, I'm not dying for cash. So, I'm kind of just putting that out to the side, and, signed up for Uber, signed up for Lyft. So, I
figured that's where it was going to go. Okay.
I bought a car, a couple months ago. So, and it's a newer car. So, I can afford to probably put,
I mean, Chris, you could always do like what I did and have like 3 jobs at one point.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing is, I don't have anybody to take care of my daughter.
That's true.
I get her on the bus to school, and then by the time, because I've told my situation to a couple of people, like, oh, just get a job. And I'm like, okay, if I put my daughter on the bus, and let's just say by the time, my daughter's on the bus and I drive to wherever, anywhere in you get to anywhere in Rochester in 45 minutes, I would have a job. I could be at anywhere in Rochester by 8 o'clock in the morning. 7:30 is kind of pushing it, but it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then, my daughter gets home from school around 2:30. So I would have to leave my job at 2. And, some jobs don't guarantee that you're getting out at your, you know what I'm saying? Like very few jobs have that, 2, you're getting out exactly at 2, because I got to be home to pick up my daughter. Her mother's gone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't have that kind of network of people, for them to, when I grew up, I was lucky enough to go up across the street from my grandmother's house. So like my grandmother used to pick up me and my brother from the bus stop and shit like that. So I have no fucking real network. I have people that I'm cool with and people that, I have people that will occasionally babysit my daughter while I go, if I had shit I had to do, but not a daily,
dude, I need to hook you up with my babysitting.
Yeah, not a daily, what's the word I'm looking for? That's the whole thing. But if I'm going to pay someone to watch my kid, I might as well fucking be home and watch my kid.
That's true. No, that's true. And that's the thing. Like you need to make money in order to pay a babysitter. So it's like,
yeah. So I have no network up here. I really don't. Like I said, there's like, and not to shit on the people who've helped me in the past up here, but like I said, these are the people that you could occasionally ask, hey, could you watch Ravens so I can, go, so, whatever, I can go to the movies or whatever the case may be, people who watch her occasionally, not a daily obligation. And so, there's that. So, I signed up for Uber, signed up for Lyft. And hopefully I'll be back to full work, my boss said, maybe December, maybe by New Year's. Or whatever. I mean, everything's still up in the air, but it's fucking because these geniuses won't fucking mask up and vax.
Yep.
Puts me in a fucking position. All right. So, here's the funny thing, and I know it's going to totally contradict what I just said, or whatever the case may be, and people are going to be like, Chris, if you're fucking in dire straits, why are you doing this? New York Comic Con is around the corner. And unfortunately, we've discussed it in the past episode. We were denied because, I guess they were expecting lower numbers this year. There was a big deal where, like, you do have to show proof of vaccination, going into place. And so I guess maybe that scared off a lot of people because, now there's been like a whole resurgence of people buying tickets. Now, mind you, I bought my tickets well before I knew my unemployment rate was running out. So, yes, I could technically, throw the tickets back up online and see if I could scalp them. And when I say scalp them, they like the people who run this Read Pop, they are so smart. Like they created like a legal version of scalping. Like you could sell your tickets back to them, and it's funny because like they know people are going to scalp these tickets. So they're like, if you scalp them illegally, we're going to fucking, you'll be banned for, 100 years. But, if you scalp them through us, they have their own outside company. So, and the whole thing is that, I deprive myself of so much shit all day, every day, all year long that I think if I indulge and I go to fucking Comic-Con for 4 days out of the year, that's my vacation. When was the last time I took my daughter to Texas last year and I was on a plane all day, but that was so my daughter could go to Texas. I didn't, I don't go on vacation. I don't have any kind of breaks. I have no, so fuck it. I'm going to Comic-Con. And, unless something really fucking bad happens, I plan on going to Comic-Con and I'll sell, if I could go every twice a week until then, I'll go twice a week and collect what I can. And like I said, I have money for next month, and so, I'll do Uber, as soon as my daughter gets on the school bus, boom, hop in the car. I used to live down by the airport and, the airports were a lot of Uber, the Ubers, whenever. That's why when I lived down by the airport, whenever I needed an Uber, I got an Uber like in fucking 2 minutes because they were all right by my house, or at Lyft and DoorDash and all that other shit. So, but just letting you know, I know because technically we don't have we don't have press passes, but I did today. They had like, it's not guaranteed, but is to sign up early for certain panels. You know, they kind of offer, you know, like a pre something for to get on panels. So to keep it on brand, you know, for you know, since the press passes were free all these other years, and that's another thing is like, you know, we've been going on their dime every year for the past 5 years or 6. You know, so
screw them. They need to give us free. Yeah. I'm working on it. I'll work on it.
But
eventually.
So I did sign up for a Funimation panel, a Dragon Ball Super panel, a My Hero Academia panel, and a Demon Slayer panel. So at least, you know, I can try to represent for. I'm just saying, since Toonami Faithful has been so good for me for the past couple of years, you know, I will try to, even if it's in a civilian capacity, try to make it to those. Try to make it to those. And like I said, I did the pre-registration.
I know. I have to double check the 2 panels that I want you to go to, but if they're run by who I think who I think they're run by, no press pass is needed. Trust me.
Yeah.
So
there's that. Oh, and another thing I've gotten into, and I've kind of like I've messed around a little bit, and I made a couple dollars. And when I say made a couple dollars, I mean literally like a couple of dollars. A friend of mine mentioned getting into options trading, like day trading online and shit like that. And I've actually made a few bucks in the past week. I mean, once again, when I say a few bucks, because options trading really is one of those deals where, you know, you need money to make money. It takes money to make money. I can't make, you know, it's like almost like, I mean, yes, is it like going to the casino? Absolutely. But, you know, you can't win big unless you bet big. You know what I'm saying? If you bet $10, you know, all you're going to do is make $2. But if you had 100, if you had 1,000, then that's...
I'm waiting for you to be like, oh, this is a sure thing, Paul. You should do this. And then all of a sudden I like lose like a bunch of money.
No, this is still very, 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 very new to me. And the only thing that sucks is, okay, and once again, you know, my daughter's been in school for about 2-3 weeks now. And I had money in Robinhood because, you know, the Dogecoin was sort of, you know, everyone was going crazy over Dogecoin, which Dogecoin has pretty much, it's lost money, in the past couple months. And don't be wrong, I still have something invested in Dogecoin, but, you know, right now it's like, you know, and I had a couple bucks and I was investing actually not for nothing, like everything I invested in, I made money on. But once again, we're talking fucking, you know, I could go out for a nice meal and kill, if I went out for a nice meal, I could kill all my profits right now. So
I'm not surprised.
So, you know, I'm trying to switch everything over from Robinhood to another site, because Robinhood, it does options trading, but, you know, once again, Robinhood's like for beginners. And so, you know, I've spoken to an old friend of mine who does options trading. He kind of gave me a couple of good strategies. You know, my boss's partners and stuff like that, they, you know, are going to see if I could talk to them. And, you know, cause for the time being, shit, if I can't work, the least he could do is give me a fucking couple, cause, you know, the guys with real money, you know, they work the stock market. So, you know, and it's an incredible world, and there's a million fucking videos on YouTube to learn about it, but the fucking guys who talk about it are the most boring. Like, guys that are really into making money, like, where, like, that's their fucking thing, you know, they're boring as fuck. There's not one fucking person there's not an ounce of fucking charisma. And, you know, fine, you're a millionaire, but you need to be a millionaire because you have to pay people to be your fucking friends. Cause, you know, I watch these videos and, like, you know, and you try to watch, or should I say you try to watch them and your fucking your eyelids start getting heavy. When you watch these and once again, these guys are brilliant and they're explaining everything clearly, and I'm taking notes and everything.
They're explaining everything.
But yeah, so between selling plasma, options trading, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, I'll eke a living until things get back to normal. It's just, you know, if we get these geniuses to start vaxing or at least die off already, so the rest of us can. Because I've been getting like, and it kills me because I actually like Joe Rogan. You know, like, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, I don't listen to everyone because, like, he interviews some fucking boring ass people too. But, you know, he's a curious guy, and I gotta give him that. At least, you know, he puts on, the only thing that, what I don't understand is that he'll talk to someone like Alex Jones, or he'll talk to someone like, Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever the case may be, and these people that or Gavin McInnes, like the guy that fucking like leader of the Proud Boys and shit, and he'll talk to these guys. Now, I understand his point of view. He's saying let's let everybody talk. Let's talk to everybody on both sides of the story, so we can. Now, mind you, he tends to fucking go more towards the crazy right. His guests tend to be a little more radical and tend to be a little more right leaning. But I get his mentality is let's give everyone a fucking venue to talk on. But it's sort of like, what he doesn't understand is that a guy with his fucking power, you're sort of legitimizing, when you bring on a fucking psycho like Alex Jones on your fucking show and, believes the fucking water is turning, the fluoride in water is turning frogs gay or whatever the case may be, you're legitimizing it. If you're giving him a soapbox to talk on, there's a bunch of people who are also have open minds. And you're like, oh, well, if Joe Rogan likes him, then I'll like him. No, Joe Rogan's looking for content. Joe Rogan's looking for another because crazy people provide great fucking content, and he'll talk to them all fucking day. And the one thing, Joe Rogan, like, if you ever listen to the fucking podcast, like, some people make the most ridiculous fucking claims in the world, and he doesn't challenge. It's so weird, and I know that, and that's a weird. It's a great interviewing tactic because it kind of, you let the person kind of go crazy and say what they got to say, but it's sort of like he doesn't push back. Someone will say, the alien reptiles run the government, and he goes, oh, okay, and what more? So they're like in the White House, a normal average fucking right-minded person would have said, get the fuck out of here, you fucking psycho. But he kind of he runs with it. And once again, yes, it serves for a great interview, but, he has such influence that, the dude bros that listen to him sort of like, oh, well, if Joe Rogan likes it, then it can't be, and I try to listen with a fucking, with a cynical ear. And, people don't listen to him with that cynical ear. They listen to him like his guests are gospel. And the whole thing recently is that, he caught COVID and he took the ivermectin. Because that was, okay, so he took prescribed ivermectin. Yes, it's a thing that doctors can't prescribe people. It just so happens also ivermectin is prescribed, given to horses, in a different dose, for a horse dewormer. But, he sort of, he wants to challenge this, and he's like, oh yeah, I took the ivermectin, and he does these, IV drips. Like they take the IV drip and, and it's every fucking vitamin known to mankind, and and that's the whole thing is that, he talks to his audience and people don't have the healthcare that he has, and people don't have the resources that he has. Spotify gave him $1 billion or whatever for him to relocate his studio and have his shit exclusively on Spotify. He can afford all these wacky fucking doctors and doing all, and he go, oh yeah, I caught COVID and I was better in a week. I was like, maybe that first day I was on my ass and I took, 8 million milligrams of vitamin C and I feel better now. And I had an IV drip. And I was like, dude, you're young. I mean, he's relatively young. He's healthy. He talks about his exercise and his fucking mixed martial arts training and his, greasy jujitsu and all the other shit that he does. But, he takes care of himself and he's young and he's healthy. And yeah, COVID's not going to hit you the way it's going to hit, some, 80-year-old woman. Or someone who's overweight, someone with heart disease. And, then I guess, a real alpha male asshole probably, well, if you're 400 pounds, maybe you shouldn't be alive. Maybe you should. The same way I'm sort of like, hey, if you're anti-vax and you get COVID and you die, ha ha ha. So, I mean, someone on the flip side would say, hey, Chris, you're a fat fuck. If you catch COVID, you should die because, you shouldn't, if you weren't fucking 380 fucking pounds, the COVID, if you took care of yourself, maybe, you wouldn't have died of COVID or anything like that. So, it just, once again, he's sending the wrong message to, and he's very influential. Shit, I don't like him and I still listen to him, and I say don't like him as, I don't think he as much as an open thinker and free thinker as he is, part of being a free thinker is also pushing back and just letting anyone say anything they want on your fucking podcast. That's, I know some people are libertarian, but now you're getting a little too fucking libertarian. You can't, that's, the next lines are like, not, he's like, oh, people think they just want free speech and right to bear arms, and okay, that's all fine and good, but then they're like, oh yeah, and then how about, we start fucking kids, that's going to be the next line, I should, a person should be able to, I shouldn't have to wait till 18 to have sex with somebody, that's where that's, I hate when other people say it's a slippery slope, but that's where, that's where the next line goes after you say like, free speech and guns. No, dude, we got to regulate a little shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for freedom, but too much freedom is going to it's going to turn around and bite you in the ass. So, let me see. What else? Oh, okay. New chapter in the Crazy Neighbor saga.
Oh, Jesus.
and it's, I guess, I mean, it's not whatever. I guess it's, so, and remind you, I haven't seen My Crazy Neighbor since about early June. So I guess my landlord finally sent guys to, like, clean out the apartment. And it's, literally the guys have been there, the guys have been there every day for the past week. Just throwing out shit, fixing shit. You know what I'm saying? This woman lived like a fucking animal. So, like, part of me is like, and this was a woman who had kids in the house. And
or maybe she did just damaged it on purpose.
Yeah, but they're just like the shit that they were throwing out. Just so much garbage and shit like that. And it's like, and look, this is coming from a fucking bachelor. I mean, I know my house, you can't exactly eat off my floors either. But, here's a woman that was raising fucking kids and had other people in the house and shit like that. And, and because I talked to the guys real quick, I was like, oh, you guys are, and they're like, yeah. And he goes, I said, is it fucking nasty in there? And they're like, yep. More power to you guys. Where they had to wear their masks and shit like that. So, I don't know. And then but someone else did move into the other apartment. And I mean, they're generally alright, but again, they had one of their guests park in the fucking driveway. And I had to do that shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What is it with fucking people that that just think you could just park in a fucking, so once again, it wasn't my neighbor, but it was their guest. And obviously, it's not like you're going to look out the window and see where, if you have a guest coming over to your apartment, it's not like, oh, where did you park? But, why do I have to fucking go and knock on my neighbor's door to have them have their guest? Like, is your guest not, is your guest that much fucking hard-headed that, they're just going to park in a fucking driveway? So.
Yes.
They have to fucking, start slashing tires or some shit like that. It shouldn't have to be that way. So, you lose one crazy fucking neighbor, and I think I gained another one. But, at least, it's their guest that was parking in a driveway, not them. Let me see. Okay.
Chris, you're talking all about yourself. This is,
All right, so what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about AEW? You want to talk about abortion in Texas? You want to talk about 9/11 anniversary? Or what do you want to talk about? I'm sorry, I've been dominating the mic. I'm sorry. What do you?
Why do you like to dominate me? That's not nice. Anyways.
So you've been going through a little bit of a roller coaster yourself. I mean, other than my trials and tribulations.
Yeah, I mean,
not all bad, but just changes.
I mean, to be honest with you, obviously there are things that I want to talk about that, I just, for right now, I have to put on hold before I talk about it on a podcast just because reasons. But I will talk about one of the 3 jobs that I've had. And no, nothing bad happened. I actually, so I'm not going to talk about where I'm working currently, but, so I was leaving. So I was working at Planet Fitness, and it amazes me. It's just now that I'm working at different places. Now that I've been working at different places, it just just reinforces the corporate bullshit that I have to deal with. Because, and you know what? I'm gonna actually, let me backtrack on that because I don't think it's the corporate bullshit. I think it's because Planet Fitness is a franchise, so obviously people. It's kind of like McDonald's. Some guy will own a bunch of Planet Fitnesses in the area. 90% of the Planet Fitnesses that are in Rochester are owned by this one franchise that I was working for. So basically, and it's funny because I believe the post is still there. So I applied for assistant manager. It was It was $15 an hour, and this is all public on there. So me saying this isn't like if you looked it up, you would see what I'm talking about. So that's why I'm saying it. It was supposed to be 40 hours. I would be working 3 to 11 every day, and then what was it? And then on Saturday it would be like 9 to 5, which was great because it worked great with my other job, and I would have Friday and Sunday off from it. Great, wonderful. So I nailed the first interview, and normally there would only be one interview, but the GM wasn't there that day. So 30 minutes before I go to interview with the actual GM, he calls me up and he goes, "Look, I just found out about 30 minutes to an hour ago that I actually have an assistant manager coming." Okay. He's like, "But we're going to need somebody at a different Planet Fitness. Would you be okay going there?" I was like, "All right." And, I went and I talked to the GM there. It wasn't more than a 10, 15-minute conversation. And he was just like, I trust that other GM that interviewed you. You're good. We'll hire you. So I'm like, all right, cool, great. This is, I guess I'm really good at interviews. So he calls me and he's like, "Listen, you gotta apply for this position," which was a different position, "so I can run your background check, and then, you'll be the assistant manager." Okay, whatever. So I did that, came back a week later, whatever, and I'm only making like $13 an hour.
Oh, fuck that.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, well, are you okay with 32 hours?" Okay, I guess I'll be fine with that for now, but I don't want it to be like, if this is a permanent thing, I don't want to make this, this I'm not going to be saying. So after a couple weeks, I found out some information that they had done something like this to other people. And by the way, when I was filling out my paperwork, he told me just to sign the pay sheet and didn't put down what my wage was. And I found out it was 13 later.
Mm.
And I'm just like, okay, all right. So, I was just sitting here. I'm like, I got to find something different because I can't just work $13 an hour. That's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
And, mind you, my other job is paying me a lot better. But I'm just sitting there going, yeah. So, like, the other job that I'm currently at now that's full-time, I called him up and was like, "Listen, I want to be, I applied for the assistant store manager, essentially. It's called something else, but that's fine."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want, and I'm not going to say how much I'm making or whatever, but then the district manager calls me up a couple days later. He's like, "Yeah, he's like, this is how much you're making. You can, we'll start training you this week." So for a couple weeks, I was actually working 3 jobs. But mind you, I was only at this job that I now have that's full time, like 4 hours a day for like 2 days a week.
Mm.
So, and they paid me what I was supposed to be making as an assistant store manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I gotta go, guys. Like, I'm gonna put my 2 weeks in. I'll work my 2 weeks out, but I gotta go. And here's the thing, Chris. Like, Planet Fitness isn't a hard job, and I liked everybody that I worked with.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just very shady. Like, like how do you can't just go and promise somebody this and then be like, "Oh, by the way, you're doing this for now." And on top of that, and you'll love this one. So I was supposed to replace somebody that's on FMLA.
Okay.
And when she was coming back, they were actually going to try to get her to go down to a lower position in the morning because she had a kid. And yeah, so you get where I'm going.
Fucking nightmare shit. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't even really want to be a part of this because if she throws a stink about this, then I'm involved with it, and then I got to be a part of this and be like, yeah, they told me I was going to be assistant manager, and they're not even paying me right, so I was just like, you know what, I'm making more at this new job, I'm just going to go there, I'm done. So, yeah, on top of what happened to me, that happened, and I'm just like, okay.
And the whole thing is like, and then, you hear about like, I don't want to say the scams, but there's always that, like, they sell people, like, they oversell people on, signing up for a year and trying to, I know they push those numbers and stuff like that. Like,
no. I mean, that wasn't bad. Like that. I mean, working there, I understood what they were doing, and it wasn't like there wasn't any real scams. Like, honestly, if you were paying attention and you got it at the right time, you could get like the Black Card membership. I'm selling this right now. Literally on a podcast. Anyways, so you can literally get a black card. Yeah, exactly. You can literally get a black card for the price of it, which is like just like $23 a month. And then you could get, if it's the right promotion that month, it's a no commitment where like if you want to give it up at any time, you can, and you won't get charged a fee.
Gotcha.
So you just gotta like pay attention, because if you pay attention, you'll see, you know what I mean? Like you'll find something good that's coming of it. And I think that part wasn't like bad. It was just, and by the way, like all I was really doing was cleaning and checking people in. Like, so it's not a hard job, but at the same time, if you're not going to pay people the right way and you're going to do some shady shit like that, I'm not really going to stick around.
Yeah, you're not going to keep people. Yeah, you're going to lose people. You're going to have a lot of turnover with shit like that.
That Planet Fitness in particular has a lot of turnover because I mean they're paying other people. They're basically paying everybody minimum wage, and and mind you, $12.50 in our state is a lot more than the $7.50 minimum wage in southern states. But you look at that, and then you look at, like, you go to a fast food restaurant and start out at 15, or go to, like, Aldi's, work as a cashier and be at 16, 17. Hell, the Subway down in the same plaza that I was working at was paying $17 an hour. I'm like, holy fuck, I'll go make fucking subs for $17 an hour.
Well, that's the funny thing is like, the one Planet Fitness I see all the time, and it's because I'm a fat fuck, it's like, it's in Rochester, it's in Irondequoit, and it's like there's across the street, there's like a KFC, Applebee's, a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, IHOP. It's like, that's got to be the worst fucking Planet Fitness. Like, if you're trying to lose weight or whatever, and we've gotten used to, and especially now with the fucking pandemic, we've gotten used to like, everything being a drive-through. You're getting everything on drive-through. No one's going into fucking restaurants anymore. I mean, at least, for the past year, only recently did things start, getting a little more relaxed. But it's like, imagine you get out of that particular Planet Fitness, and you gotta drive by KFC, Applebee's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, IHOP.
It's terrible, dude.
I just laugh every time I see it, because I'm like, these motherfuckers, like, and it's not like, cause it was something before it was a Planet Fitness, but it was still a fitness place. But it's like, you would think, like, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I find it fucking hilarious that, you get out. And even like, I think there's another Planet Fitness down on Ridge Road, it's kind of like right off where like the 390, and this is for all the people give a shit about Rochester, but it's like right behind the fucking, Chipotle, like everything else in the plaza is a place that sells food, and then you get out of and sometimes, if you're tired, you get in the car and you kind of you gotten spoiled by getting food on the drive-through. I mean, so you sort of like, I want to grab something, but there's nothing around you that's,
And that's what the funny part is it's like, it's the same thing with like that, I think it's Rochester Regional. It used to be a Tops, but Tops, actually Rochester Regional bought the old Tops store, converted it into like a doctor's office. And then all of a sudden, like now in front of it, you have the Starbucks and the Chipotle, and it's just like, okay. Like, you walk right out and you're like, you know what? I want some Starbucks. Or you know what? I want some Chipotle. So.
And even, the Rochester General, but the Rite Aid I used to work at.
Yeah.
That was on right there. That was on Ridge.
I don't even think there's anything in there.
No, but they gutted the building. They kept they're building it now, but they kept the steel beams. And they're going to make it, but it's funny how, like, cause I watch, I drive by it on occasion, and, to see them how and it was sitting there dormant for a while, but I worked at that Rite Aid until it closed, and on purpose, cause they knew it was bought by Rochester General, and that's, I'll see them slowly gut it. Now it's like it's just a big box of steel girders, and then they're just going to put the new hospital or whatever it is in that place.
Probably urgent care, I would take a guess. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's really funny because that corner is just as bad. Because it's got like a Dunkin' Donuts. It did have a Brugger's. I don't know if that's still there.
Yeah.
And then I think that Brugger's gone. But and then there's going to be a Chick-fil-A there, and there's a Wendy's there. I'm like, oh my god, jeez.
Yeah.
And then down the road, there's a oh god, what is it? There's a Popeyes there,
Yeah.
and then there's a what is that? It's like you can drive up and they'll bring your food out. Like you can order it stuff, but it's not a drive-through. I can't think of what it's called.
Curbside?
No. It's so what is that? What is that fast food restaurant that it has a drive-through, but then it also has those side?
Sonic. Yeah, there's a Sonic right there. Yeah. Yeah, so there's plenty of places. That's why that's why I put on. When I moved to Rochester fucking 11 years ago, I was fucking 180 pounds. Now I'm fucking I put on 200 pounds because there's just so much fucking food all over the place, and especially in the last year of the pandemic, everything is drive-through. Everything is drive-through, and you could literally go to a different place every day.
New York City's not any better because I remember like when we were down there for New York Comic Con, like there's like a McDonald's on like almost every corner.
Oh, yeah.
I feel
I'm
like.
just blaming Rochester for me being fat.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of on the that's the fucked up shit that Paul's been going through. And the thing was I was never like treated badly or anything. It was just that fucked up shit, and I'm just like,
I
don't want to stay there.
And I'm wondering, I'm wondering, and especially in that situation, like my situation, where like unemployment ended for a lot of people, where they're like, oh, we got them by the balls. We can, we could pay them whatever the fuck we want to pay them because, it's that or public assistance. It's that or.
Is like I've been finding that places are being very like. What's the word I'm looking for? Very strict about who they hire. Like, so for example, like, Target is fuck. So I feel like you apply for Target and then 2 seconds later they reject your application. That's how hard it is to get. Like, I've heard of that. Mm-hmm. And when I was applying for jobs, like, I tried and it was like literally, it wasn't like literally 2 seconds later, but it was like maybe within 24 hours they were like, yeah, we're not taking your application. I'm just like, okay. It's that general one where they say like, oh, well, we're moving forward with something else. And I'm like, well, that's a little quick when you just put this up. And then, obviously there's some other ones that I did, but at least those ones were like a couple weeks.
And you've had steady jobs. Like you've had just, you've had, it would blow. I can understand if you were like Joe Schmo that had like, 18 jobs in the past 2 years, but I mean, you've been steady. You're, and like even you think a person with a steady.
And here's the thing, Chris. Like so one thing I'm really good at is hiring people. So I can flip that because I know how people interview in a really good way in person. But the problem is number one, if you do it over the phone, yeah, you're probably doing a good job, but at the same time, you're not doing it face to face. And I feel like face to face is a lot better. Mm-hmm. Just because you can convince somebody to hire you better if you're in person. Write this down, folks. If you're in front of somebody dressed up in a formal, coming in a formal setting, like you can get hired a lot easier than over the phone. I mean, I'll admit the full-time job I have now, I did it all over the phone, so it wasn't like, like I didn't interview in person. So yeah, I can do it that way too, I guess. I mean, the one job I was trying to apply for, and that didn't end up happening, but I think that was because they probably found somebody internally, which happens a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I get it. I understand. But, it's one thing if, like, I go for an interview and you don't think I'm the right fit, but it's another thing if you just outright reject me without giving me an interview, like, and then you're, like, 2 weeks later you're trying to fill that position again. It's like, it makes me laugh because I'm just like, what am I supposed to, it's like, what do I do here? Because, like, you're not even trying.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even trying to interview. You're just like, fuck you, and have a nice day. And that's the thing, like, it's basically coming down to where it's just fast food, restaurants. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris, and I don't want to sound egotistical, but I bet you I could get any fast food general manager position, like what I have.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to work for a fast food restaurant. I don't want to work for like Dunkin' Donuts, because I did that once and that was just terrible. And I am dead set on not ever doing that again, because it was just, and I mean, it may have just been my location was busy at night, but it was just terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that again. It may, you know, I say that and it may end up coming to that, but you know, it's just, you know.
Well, that's like what I was thinking. I was like, the funny thing is, like, that was the first place I thought of when someone, like, when the situation hit, and they're like, oh, you know, why don't you get a job like part time somewhere? I'm like, yeah, like Dunkin' Donuts. Because like once again, like if I work like at 8 to 2 if I work 8 to 2 at Dunkin' Donuts, those are the hours they're probably going to need me the most in the morning. You know, and then at 2 o'clock I can fuck off.
Well, I mean, so what time do you put what time do you put Raven on the bus?
She gets on the bus pretty much like, you know, 6:50, 6:55. Like, you know, she gets on the bus, you know, that's fine.
Oh, okay. You could probably be at work at like 7:30. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could push, like, I mean, I'm being a little lazy. I do want to, like, I want to sleep and then, like, after putting on her bus, take a shower, get dressed. But I mean, I could technically do that before I put her on the bus. But that means now I'm getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and I mean, I could do it. It's not like impossible. It's just, I'm being a lazy prick. But yeah, I could be somewhere at 7:30.
I mean that would work. I think that would work wonderfully. But you know, but
I'm also worried. Like, okay, let's just say I do. You know, let's just say I go Dunkin' Donuts, and you know they would love someone who's just part time, because you know they want to give as few hours as, you know, like every fucking retail job, they want to do as few hours per person as they could. And I go, okay, I'll work, you know, 7:30 to 2. But once again, once 2 o'clock comes, and I still got like another half an hour or so before I gotta get home to get my daughter off the bus. Like, if 2 o'clock comes and like my relief isn't there, I will walk the fuck out of the store. And that's the whole thing, is I'm gonna lose my job, because, you know, if you know, Susie May, who's supposed to fucking be there at 2, and she gets, you know, oh, I can't, my kid is sick again or whatever, because you know, I dealt with that shit in fucking retail all the time, dealing with people.
I didn't know we were in the South, but continue.
But I was just saying, is when you work in retail, like when I worked in retail for a little while, you know, you get these people who they don't give a fuck about their job, and will call out at the last minute, you know, and even though, like, you know, whatever the policy says, you know, call out, oh, I can't come in. And then, of course, you know, the big easy one that everyone has is their kid is sick. That's the one fucking one that you can't, like, you know, everything else, you know, they're full of shit. And once again, even saying your kid is sick doesn't mean they're just saying that, you know, and then they go, oh, your kid is sick, and you can't challenge them. You're like, you know, you can't say, oh, well, doctor's note or whatever, because that's against all types of HIPAA rules and shit. But, you know, oh, my kid is sick, I can't come in. And now 2 o'clock, now I gotta go pick up my daughter, or no one's gonna be there to get her at the bus stop. And like, you know, I think, like, and don't be wrong, I think like at 11, like, you know, like, me and my brother were, not that we were latchkey kids, but you know, I think at 11, I think me and my brother had the keys to the apartment, and because my mom got home from like work at like 4:30, so me and my brother got home from school around 3, and then, like, you know, we were home alone for an hour and a half, and I mean, I guess technically, like, my daughter could have a key to the house, but you know, that means she's sitting here by herself while I'm working, and she's an 11-year-old girl, you know, who's, you know, hopefully will be in her right mind or whatever the case may be, and not do anything stupid. So, you know, I get a job, you know, I need a hard out at 2 o'clock. Like, you know,
well, yeah, I mean, the neighborhood you live in, I can completely understand why you would want to be home when she's there, because I wouldn't want to do that either to my kid. So I get that.
So, you know, it's, I think just for, like I said, for the time being, you know, because once I get back to my old job, you know, then I'll be working from home, and I can play with my schedule, and I could do all types of, you know, and so, and this is like learning. This is, you know, and I'm learning about the options trading. I'm learning about Lyft. I'm learning about Uber, you know, shit, you know, if I can, you know, right. I may continue doing this shit, you know, if I could, I may give, you know, shit, I'll give fucking plasma on the weekends and make a, you know, couple of, you know, $200 every week.
Oh Lord.
But, you know, I mean, like I said, I mean, am I stressed? Yes, I'm absolutely stressed, but I'm not like, you know, the world's gonna fucking end. You know, cause you know, my biggest bill right now is my rent, and I stay on top of my rent, and if my landlord gets the rent late, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the end of the world if I don't take care of my bills. And these past couple of years, I've been getting my credit in order. Like, my credit is the best it's been my entire life, but that's because, now my house, my foreclosure has been taken care of, and, I have, my divorce was fucking 10 years ago and all that shit. So none of that shit affects me anymore, and I've been trying to build up, and I don't have, I have a kid and, and everything like that, but, that's my only, responsibility, because shit, I barely take care of myself, so I'm,
Yeah.
But,
well, you have to kind of, you just need something temporary at the moment, and honestly, like, even if it was a fast food thing, just to get you through until this, ends up being back to where it is, then that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? Because obviously you want to work your job. It makes more money than a fast food restaurant. So,
and I could sell my ass. Like I could, start giving blowjobs and hand jobs.
Oh my God,
$50 a pop. There's always that option.
You're allowed in my house. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. Oh my Lord!
There's always that.
What with that? Maybe
yeah. So I guess before the break, I'll just kind of quick fire some of the other shit I had on my. I did have the 9/11 anniversary. Just sort of, it comes. And anniversary sounds like that's the wrong word, but
20 years.
20 years, yeah. It blows my mind that it's been.
Yeah.
And then you got these young people
God, I'm
that
fucking old. Oh my God.
Yeah, when you deal with someone, they're like, I was born, August of 2001. Like, people like, they were like sucking on their mom's tit when 9/11 happened. Like, you try to explain to people like
17 when 9/11 happened. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how different the world is since then, and it's weird. Like, we've had fucking 9/11. We've had a fucking pandemic. We've had the stock market crash. We've had all types of crazy shit. We've been on the brink of...
The government's probably going to shut down here in a couple weeks. So
brink of depression. We've been on the brink of depression for the past 10 years, but 9/11, and do take a moment to think about all the people who died that day. And as much as I bash this country and as much as I bash the president and all this other shit, I never felt more American than I did like that day, because it's like they were looking to kill anybody that was American. They were looking to hurt America, and I do kind of like that sinks into my heart, especially being so close to the actual ground zero, that anybody, and so many people that I knew and I cared for worked in and around the towers, and like I said, luckily nobody I knew was killed or hurt. But, they try to kill me, they try to kill my friends, they try to kill people and I knew and I loved. And so, I do get that little twinge in my heart of like, I'm American, just from the fact that someone tried to kill me just because I was an American. Don't make it all about you. Okay, then what else I have? I have abortion in Texas. I love how like there's I'm hearing, and these are quick shots, that they're grasping at straws since Trump's not in the fucking White House, and to bring back abortion in Texas, which is, it's obviously a religion based thing, and for you to impose your fucking religion on other people is fucking disgusting. If you don't like abortion, don't get a fucking abortion. Muslims and Jews don't believe in eating pork. What if for whatever reason the Muslims and Jews had the power and said stores can't sell pork anymore? Every store in the state of Texas, you can't have pork ribs anymore. The fucking place would be burned down in a fucking week. So letting your religious views dictate policy is fucking ridiculous. And there's, I don't know if you heard, there's places, there's restaurants and bars in Texas now that are kicking people out for wearing masks. And it's fucking ridiculous. So it's like, so it's okay to fucking say someone, they can't have an abortion, but masks are the fucking problem. This shit is on their fucking head over there. Okay. New topic, AEW. Everybody's been, all these, and I follow a lot of wrestling sites and shit like that. And
let me stretch.
Not on purpose. No, but I said this is a quick fire, but everybody's been.
It's not a quick fire if you're gonna bring that shit up.
Everybody's been coming in their fucking pants for AEW, and it's what, some rich it's some rich Arab kid who's like parents, who's like father was fucking, you know, an oil baron or whatever, put a lot of money together and pretty much hired every wrestler from his childhood. And don't get me wrong, is he a fan? Yes, and it's good that he's seeing it as a fan, and you know, he's kind of like, I do kind of see that kind of good part where he's not looking at it as a business, he's looking at it as, but when, you know, that's gonna eventually come bite him in the ass, and he's hiring pretty much everybody that WWF has taken for granted over the past couple of years. That being CM Punk, that means Daniel Bryan, you know, but it's sort of like, you know, I never liked Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is literally the reason I stopped watching WWE about 6-7 years ago. Okay. He's a personality vacuum. Daniel Bryan's like fucking wallpaper. CM Punk's a whiny bitch. And, you know, the only good thing CM Punk ever did was his wife or his girlfriend is fucking hot. AJ Lee is fucking hot. So, but everyone's jizzing in their fucking pants.
He did do some Marvel comics, so you have to give him that. He wrote some Marvel comics, so you gotta give him some credit for that.
Yeah. And the rise of AEW also, it just so happens to be coincidentally with like WWE, the people, and look I'm not gonna suck Vince's dick either. Vince McMahon is a horrible fucking person. You've heard nothing but horror stories. You've ever watched the fucking documentary Beyond the Mat, where like there was a guy like his kid was just born and like he said, I don't give a fuck, you're gonna work tonight anyway and shit like that. You know, Vince McMahon is a horrible, evil scumbag, but Vince McMahon is the gold standard. WWE is the gold standard. And unfortunately, Vince has let Triple H, his son-in-law, the guy that's banging his daughter, and married to his daughter, okay, but still, you know, he's letting Triple H run it like it's his. Well, and running NXT or whatever, the upstart.
Yeah.
And you know, so WWE is making bad decisions whether AEW existed or not. But AEW just happens to be on the rise while WWE is making a lot of bad decisions, and once again, all these new guys in WWE, they're all boring as fuck too. Now it's 10,000 Daniel Bryans. The whole WWE roster is Daniel Bryans, you know, and so, you know, it's just a bad time, but it's, you know, a lot of people have to understand that, you know, you wouldn't even like wrestling if it wasn't for Vince McMahon and his brand. Vince McMahon brought you all these people first. You know, yeah, okay, so yeah, there's this guy, he was in, Ring of Honor, and he was in this, and he was in, Total Nonstop Action, and all this other shit. Fine, yeah, but understand that Vince McMahon made these people household names. And, you know, you want to kick Vince while he's down, fine, but, you know, everything goes in cycles. Wrestling gets good for a while, then it starts sucking for a while, then gets good for a while. So, I want to see all these bandwagon jumpers. I want to see them once AEW starts sucking and WWE starts making the right decisions again. Because watch how fucking fast these people are going to jump on the bandwagon.
So, okay. So you shouldn't have brought this up because this is going to be probably 30 minutes, so this is your fault. Okay. So, first of all, I have been itching to do this on a podcast because, and personally, maybe me and Chris, I'll probably go more in depth because I was going to try to actually propose to Chris that we should probably do just like a wrestling edition so I can bitch about it. Because there's a lot I want to say, and I think that me and Chris could go on and on about it. So where to start? AEW is doing well, but they're not doing well because it's AEW. They're doing well because they have WWE wrestlers that are popular. Yeah. So you know, I hate when people sit there and they go, well, AEW has this wrestler and this wrestler, and I'm like, yeah, but where did that wrestler come from? WWE. So, and then, you know, it's like, so, I mean, okay, Chris Jericho, WWE wrestler. CM Punk, WWE wrestler. Daniel Bryan, WWE wrestler. Aleister Black, WWE wrestler. Do you see the pattern here? You know what I mean? Like, we're becoming another WCW here. And even Tony has said that he wants to be a WCW. By the way, you have a football team, Tony. How the fuck are you paying your goddamn football players and paying these fucking wrestlers? I mean, I'm literally sitting here reading an article like a couple months back where it says that AEW is severely in debt because of the video game they're doing that hasn't even come out yet. And don't get me wrong, the video game looks good. But you're in debt. You're in severe debt over a fucking video game.
Yeah, because he's throwing daddy's money at it.
And meanwhile, while WWE is making bad decisions, and that is true, and that's again, I need to have a podcast so I can bitch about that too. They're actually making a huge profit right now. Like, it's not even funny. They can get rid of whoever the fuck they want, and they're still making a fucking profit, Chris. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Whereas you got AEW over here going, oh, look, we have CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, but by the way, I don't know how I'm paying for these wrestlers because I'm so severely in fucking debt. And I'm just like, oh my god. So, to me, it's like people put AEW on this pedestal because it's doing something that in some ways WWE isn't doing, but B, it's the more mature wrestling thing. WWE is not the mature wrestling thing. It's for kids too. So they can't just go, oh, by the way, we're going to have pizza cutters and cut some person up in a match and make them bleed everywhere. Like, that doesn't happen. And no, I don't like that anymore. Like when you talk about the gold standard, that's the gold standard, not doing that shit anymore. Yeah, it's going to happen from time to time, and it does in the WWE, but it doesn't have to happen every fucking match.
Yeah, to cut someone with a pizza cutter 30 seconds before they do a Pizza Hut commercial. It's like, tonight's sponsored by Pizza Hut. And I'm like, there was obviously a breakdown in communication when somebody's cutting open a guy's forehead with a pizza cutter, and then there's a fucking ad for Pizza Hut. We're going
so fucking stupid. But yeah. The women's division is shit in AEW, which everybody agrees with, and they need to do better. And I feel bad for Britt Baker because she's fucking carrying that division right now. Even though you brought in Ruby Soho is her name now. It was Ruby Riott before, but whatever. You don't have a really good women's division, and you're not using them appropriately. You're not using them as much as you should, and that's part of the problem here. But. And then my favorite thing, and this will be the last thing I say, and I'll save some more for whatever we do down the road. The one thing that really annoys me lately is you'll see Brian Alvarez on Twitter post up the ratings on Wednesday for AEW, and then post Monday's ratings for Raw, and he's like, oh, well, beat Raw, and I'm like, not really, it's two different nights. Do you not know how ratings work? Like, I remember, Toonami, Adult Swim, I know what I'm doing here. Like, that's like saying, oh, Toonami beat AEW, but guess what? Toonami's on Saturday night. So, if they're not in competition with each other on the night, they're not beating each other. Is it doing better on Wednesday? Yes, because there's nothing else on Wednesday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are tuning in. Now, for example, they have Rampage on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. And, it's not really competing because it's after SmackDown ends, but at the same time, like, SmackDown is beating that every single time. Guess what? That is correct. You know what I mean? Same night, it's beating Rampage. It is what it is. So, it's some of the things are just really fucking annoying to me. And it's like, stop inflating this stuff. By the way, the one thing that really bothers me, that was it's like a conspiracy theory out in the wrestling community, and it's starting to look more and more like it might be true, is they've been saying that Vince really owns AEW and he's just like a silent partner and he's just throwing people over there to make it more popular. Dude, when you get rid of Bray Wyatt, the guy that's making all of your money in t-shirt sales, basically, you kind of sit there and go, well, if he ends up in AEW, maybe this shit is actually fucking for real. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, if this motherfucker secretly owns fucking AEW, I will fucking go, Vince, you are my master, I will do whatever the fuck you want.
That's Illuminati shit,
Yeah, Illuminati shit, literally. And by the way, like, Triple H just had some kind of heart surgery. Like, I hope that dude is okay, because if we don't fucking have Triple H when Vince dies, the fucking WWE is gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
Because, that's the one thing that you always see, like, when a wrestler leaves, they always thank Triple H. Why do they always thank Triple H? Because he does a good fucking job. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Vince doesn't. I just think Vince sometimes comes off as like a fucking asshole, or just ignores these wrestlers, and it causes a lot of fucking pain. So, but me and Chris will talk about this more down the line.
Yeah.
Because I want to go off on it and bitch about it. And by the way, there are problems with WWE. I'm just bitching about AEW because he brought it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
I said, then these motherfuckers got to go and make it personal and have fucking Rosario Dawson on the fucking AEW. It was at the Newark show, and you know, I mean, of course, you know.
Doesn't she
she's with Corey she that's the whole. I was about to say, yeah, she does that show, the Go Big show with Cody Rhodes. Yeah, doesn't say Cody Rhodes probably, you know, is, you know, they probably speak casually and fun of, and it's like, hey, you don't want to. And the whole thing is, it was at the Newark show because, you know, she's dating Cory Booker, or at least what we like to tell people is that she's dating Cory Booker, so like her and I don't get any heat like in the streets and stuff like that, so people don't get mad at me. So the cover story is that she's dating Cory Booker. So when AEW was in Newark, New Jersey, once again, yeah, with Cody Rhodes, I'm pretty sure Cody Rhodes said, hey, you know, come on down and have a fucking blast, you know, and she was wearing Cody Rhodes' jacket. From what I understand, I didn't even know. I learned that from John Galbo, because John Galbo happens to be at that show, and I'm like, what fucking shirt is, what jacket is she wearing? Oh, it's Cody Rhodes' shirt. I'm like, oh, okay, so she probably, you know, hanging out with Cody Rhodes on the Go Big show. He probably said, come on down, it'll be a goof. There was a wrestler. What's the guy's name that she jumped on his back? Demento or some shit like that.
No, it's. I think his name. It was Aleister Black.
Aleister Black, yeah. The guy, Aleister Black. He's like, oh, someone's wearing the enemy's colors, and he was referring to her wearing Cody Rhodes' shirt or jacket or whatever. And then she goes and she jumps on his back, and it was, you know, like, yeah, that's a girl from the Lower East Side. And then Cody Rhodes comes out of nowhere, comes running down, and, you know, and then, yeah, and I mean, not even making it personal by bringing my girlfriend into this fucking thing, but, you know, I don't know, I mean, I'm still not gonna watch it, but, you know, it certainly got my attention when they brought my girlfriend into it. Okay, what else we have here? Something that happened since the last episode that kind of came and went, the Milk Crate Challenge. And did you see I made a Milk Crate video game? I made a Milk Crate Challenge.
No.
Yeah, I've been messing around with this game. I've been messing around with this program called Blender, and I've been doing a lot of shit with it. And there's options for it to make a video game. So I kind of made this video game. You know, I ain't gonna go anywhere with it, and whatever. It's literally, you know, you can beat the game in 2 seconds. But I put a video about it online. And, but the Milk Crate Challenge came and went, and, you know, these people, cause, you know, when I grew up, you know, they had DJs, you know, people that, you know, you would steal the milk crates from behind the school, because, you know, the milk company comes and drops off the milk at the school, and they would leave the empty crates outside, so when the truck driver comes, they could pick up the empty crates, but of course they never pick up, you know, you're supposed to pick up what you need and what you don't need or whatever, so, you know, all my brother's friends and stuff like that, all the aspiring DJs back in the day, used to steal the milk crates from outside, you know, in the school parking lot, you know, by the you know, the walkway, not the, you know, whatever, where the trucks can pull up to, the Breezeport. And so, people were doing this fucking Milk Crate Challenge, damn near fucking almost killing themselves, you know, walking across, trying to walk. And a couple people, like, I've seen like 2 or 3 videos of people who actually finished it, but, you know, it's one of those deals, like, if you have to fucking do it super fast. But yeah, there were people fucking damn near themselves in the emergency room, when there are no beds left in the emergency room because all the other geniuses haven't gotten vaxxed or are dying.
Jesus Christ.
New York City got hit with fucking, like, ridiculous floods. Like, I saw videos of, like, the subway stations filled with water, which had gotta be nasty. You know, parts of the city where I had, like, you know, up to 8 feet of water and shit like that. You know, reminds me of, like, when New York got hit by, like, you know, Hurricane Sandy and shit. So, you know, I wasn't there, you know, so I don't know exactly what would happen, but I mean, it looked crazy. OnlyFans, in the time that we had the show, OnlyFans said they were going to ban porn. And then fucking, then all the rats started jumping ship, and they were like, "Oh shit, we can't do that. All right, let's bring porn back." Because that was the whole reason anybody would have an OnlyFans, is so you can see naked pictures. Now, and it's funny because the you know, one of the biggest star on OnlyFans right now, or at least was the, you know, Bad Baby, the Catch Me Outside. How about that girl? And there are communities online that you know, put her pictures, even though she puts them out on OnlyFans, you know, people share them on other sites, you know, they're not supposed to, but they do. And she's yet to put out like a real topless photo. Like she puts out a bunch of pictures like with her like covering her nipples and shit like that. I mean, there's like a couple of like side tit shots that you can see where she, like, you know, she's done videos with the girls and they're fucking, you know, they're in their lingerie and shit like that. So you can kind of see side nipple. And the whole thing is that, I mean, she's not cute. She's got big tits. That's all. She's got no ass, but she's one of those, you know, she's got giant tits and she fucking weighs 80 pounds. So, you know, the tits look even bigger on her. You know, because as soon as she opens her mouth, you know, like, whatever attractiveness that she does have, which I don't find her that attractive, but as soon as she opens her fucking mouth, you're like, oh, you know, your tits couldn't be big enough for that fucking attitude. But, you know, if someone says, hey, you want to see a picture of Bad Baby naked, you want to see her tits, I'm like, absolutely. And I guess this will kind of bleed into our nerdy news after the break, but, the No Way Home, was leaked about a day before it was supposed to come out, and like, you know, Kevin Feige lost his fucking mind, and the person who, like, they purposely like have these like copies that have like the person's name on it, and that person got fired immediately, even though I believe they said that they didn't leak it, but their name was on the thing, so you're responsible for the shit that has your name on it. It got leaked, so you got fired. But we'll talk more about No Way Home on the nerdy news, and then. You know, I know you don't drink. You're not a big drinker. You're not you're not, you know, I mean, I enjoy the occasional alcoholic beverage. But they're coming out with a hard Mountain Dew. Like, you know, in the vein of
Didn't we talk about this? Oh no, we didn't talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, we talked on our Facebook, but the only thing that fucking sucks is that it's boasting zero sugar. So it's gotta taste like shit.
Taste like shit.
You know, like I mean, I wish, okay, you know, absolutely come out with a zero sugar option, but, you know, don't say all of them are going to be zero sugar, because that doesn't make me want to drink it, because I will definitely try. I love Mountain Dew. I know, and you certainly love Mountain Dew, you know, and hard, you know, hard version, you know, the, you know, alcoholic version, you know, and in the day and age, everybody, you know, fucking ever since White Claw, you know, Budweiser has a seltzer. Like, everybody came out with their own, like, version of seltzer, so I guess, you know, this was kind of inspired by White Claw, Mountain Dew, but once again, if this is zero sugar, I don't know if I'm gonna give them my money. So I think, with that, we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc., 1115 East Main and North Goodman, at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough
How did you watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Victory Championship Wrestling presents Lethal Leap Year, on sale now for $9.99. Don't miss a single body slam or epic moment. Witness the showdown between Big Smooth and Johnny Slaughter for the BCW Championship. Go to bcwaction.com for exclusive events. only found on VCWAction.com. And as an added bonus, the first 100 people to order this event will receive a free front row seat to the next event.
And we're back. All right, Paul. Right before this episode came out, let's do some nerdy news. It's been 2 months worth of nerdy news, and there's shit that I forgot. And it's so funny because, yes, the world is going to hell, but we are getting some incredible entertainment. As the world burns, they're putting out some good movies. But like literally right before this episode, there was a whole article about George Lucas's wife, saying that she hated the new trilogy, saying, because George Lucas's wife, I believe, edited Star Wars, or I don't know the exact thing, but she was, like, he directed it and she edited the movies. Or she had a hand in the editing of the movies. So it's not like this is somebody who, this was someone who was involved with the original product. She helped put it out there, not to mention that she was married to George Lucas while these movies were being made. Obviously George Lucas isn't going to badmouth these movies because they gave him $4.7 billion. Disney gave $4.7 billion. Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams, and I think J.J. Abrams tried. He did at least try, but they gave him so many restrictions. He knew this was going to be a soft reboot and all this other shit. So J.J. Abrams did the best that he could with, but his hands were tied. And it's Kathleen Kennedy trying real fucking hard to make everything politically correct and woke. And it's funny because I try to be as open-minded and be left-leaning and woke as I can be, but when you try too hard, it comes out. You see it for what it is. And when they're trying so hard to fucking push Rey and push Finn and kind of have like this weird fucking agenda, and then giving Rian Johnson the reins and Rian Johnson fucking ruined the franchise. They were trying so hard to be, and I hate to, it's the right-leaning guys that say, you go woke, you go broke. And that's how it feels. Like, you turned your back on generations of fans who have loved, this franchise. I make the joke. I said, the people who make the movies, who bought a Chewbacca coffee mug last week? That's the person who should be directing the movie. Cause, there's people who kept the franchise alive for generations, but way before Disney decided to buy it, the franchise was dying and of course, yeah, okay, George Lucas did the prequels and then in the early 2000s and shit like that, but this was a dying franchise, and then Disney bought it, but then they try to woke it up, and it's sort of like, you're trying too fucking hard, and you should have taken into consideration, because George Lucas's wife said, killing off Han Solo? Are you fucking kidding me? Killing off fucking Luke Skywalker? Are you fucking kidding me? Killing him off early? And then also, by the time, and then they killed everybody, that by the time they get to the last movie, fucking, Carrie Fisher was already dead. And this was shit that fans were saying, since day one. So, and then once again, it's not like Marsha Lucas was some sort of, hateful fanboy sitting in his basement, some neckbeard incel. This is someone who was involved with the original product and was mad with what they did with it. So I guess those words say where they may. Okay, once again, news as of like an hour before this show came out. Elvira, the actress who plays Elvira, who's like in like her 70s now, still fucking hot. She's coming out with a book that comes out around Halloween, and she's also come out of the closet. Elvira's gay. Who would have known? We love them big titties, and she's been playing the Elvira character for what, good 40 years. And it's funny when you see these old pictures, because like Elvira and Pee Wee Herman and like 2 or 3 other people, and I think like Phil Hartman, and I want to say there's 1 or 2 other people. They all came from the same class of the Groundlings, which was like pretty much like anybody from Saturday Night Live in the 80s and 90s kind of came from the Groundlings and stuff like that. But look, like Elvira was never on Saturday Night Live. Pee Wee Herman was never on Saturday Night Live. I mean, Phil Hartman was, but these people who've made incredible careers for themselves and such a, they all kind of knew each other back in the day. But yeah, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. has come out as gay, and she's, I think she's been with her current partner for like 18 years or something like that. So, that's good for her, and I guess all of us guys that were fucking, fapping to her and stuff like that, you gotta
She's
just
fucking bad.
give it up, guys. She's playing for the other team. Okay, what do we got here? Matrix Revolutions, the trailer for Matrix Revolutions. Here, any theories for you?
I think it's just gonna be kind of the first Matrix, but a little bit different.
Yeah, I think the what's the word I'm looking for? The rumors or the speculation so far is that that all these movies, including the end, which was supposed to be like you waking up from the Matrix, was that it was a Matrix within a Matrix. There was always that theory running around, and you kind of just didn't want to listen to people and say, no, it's not a Matrix in the Matrix. But I guess apparently, or at least if the speculations believe, it was a Matrix in a Matrix, and this is a, Neo has aged the way Keanu Reeves has aged, and it is now 20, 30 years past the events of the Matrix. And like in this fantasy world, in their world, there is a version of the Matrix movie, the same way we saw. As it's kind of playing with the idea that maybe we're all in a simulation also.
Ooh,
and so, we're all in our own Matrix right now. So putting out a movie like The Matrix in a Matrix universe. So when, let's just say you had someone that's like, hey man, we're in the Matrix and we're all slaves to machines and yada yada. You can write it off and say, man, you watch too many fucking science fiction movies. When some guy's on Joe Rogan saying, hey man, we're stuck in the Matrix. You can say, no man, you're a fucking crazy person. You watch too many movies. So it's supposed to be like if,
stop watching Joe Rogan.
Stop listening to Joe Rogan. We're not in a Matrix, but yes, indeed, we are in a Matrix. But that's sort of that's the speculation going on right now. There's the guy from Lovecraft Country, and he played Black Manta in the Aquaman movies, who looks like Morpheus. He's wearing like Morpheus glasses and shit like that. Because if this movie follows the full canon, because they had that Matrix Online game. For all the years after the Matrix movies came out. In the Matrix Online game, Morpheus dies or gets killed. So people are saying that, this is either it's a Morpheus in a new body, or quite possibly, what if, there's speculation, what if it's someone pretending to be Morpheus, saying that he is, but obviously he isn't, what if it is Morpheus? I think they're going to leave it in a weird way where we'll never know the true answer, whether if it's truly Morpheus or someone just saying he's Morpheus, like, no, it's really me, guys, but,
No, it's really Chris Cole.
But I mean, I'm interested, it's coming out on HBO Max, so if I don't have to pay an extra $1 to go see it, I'll certainly watch it. I absolutely loved the first Matrix movie. I mean, it's fucking groundbreaking. The next two I was sort of, but, I mean, and I'll give it a shot. And now it's it's just Lana Wachowski. The two at one time they were brothers, the Wachowski brothers, both transitioned into being women. And then it's funny, you go back and rewatch the Matrix movies, and you're like, oh, you're in the Matrix. You're living in one in the fantasy world. How you see yourself, you look one way, but you're stuck in your regular human body. And you're like, oh, this was an allegory for being like, a man stuck in a woman's body and so on and so forth. So,
this is too much for me at this point.
Well, the whole, and that's why everyone, all the people in the movies, like Keanu Reeves, I mean, he has soft features. And then Trinity on the other side, then you got Trinity who kind of looks like a dude also. Like Trinity, androgynous, that's the word I'm looking for. Like Keanu Reeves kind of has soft features. Carrie Ann Moss, Trinity, looks kind of butch a little. Like it's sort of like, you kind of like, oh, okay, this was sort of an allegory for being trans, how you see yourself, like they call, your residual self-image, how you see yourself. And, you go into the Matrix, you see yourself as this cool fucking dude with glasses and a fucking trench coat, and you got a million guns, when, you really just fucking, you're this fucking guy who can't even open his eyes or move his arms and legs because they've atrophied because you're laying in a fucking pod. So, it was sort of, Matrix was sort of an allegory for trans. So I'm wondering if they're going to work that. I wonder if the sister Because right now it's just one of them. They both of them didn't come back. It was just Lana Wachowski now. So I'm wondering what, now that you watch it and you see it with a different set of eyes, like, oh, okay. Okay, Transformers, the 1986 one, the good one. They're doing a, what's the word I'm looking for? What do they call those events when it's
remastered, reboot?
When movie theaters have like a something event. Oh my god.
A Fathom event?
Fathom, yes, that's what it was. I think I didn't put it in my notes, but yeah, they're having a Fathom event, the 26th and the 28th of this month, because this is the 35-year anniversary of the movie coming out. 35 years ago, I was traumatized at the age of 9 when Optimus Prime died. But actually, I didn't see Transformers in the theater. I saw it on VHS. I saw it like a year later. So I always talk about how I was traumatized, but I was traumatized. But, I've been to fucking family members' funerals where I didn't cry. But when I saw fucking Optimus Prime die, I fucking cried like a little bitch. But then again, I was fucking 9 or 10 years old. Speaking of death, Norm Mcdonald passed away after a decade-long fight with cancer. Norm Mcdonald's is an acquired taste. You either love him or hate him. Yep. I loved his movie Dirty Work. It's a very quotable movie, and it was back in the days when everybody from Saturday Night Live was in a movie. They gave everybody, back in the day, everybody from Saturday Night Live got at least one movie.
That's true. That is true.
And don't get me wrong, Dirty Work is a stupid fucking movie. It is incredibly dumb. But rewatching it the other day, I was like, it is fucking funny. For the wrong reasons. It's very inappropriate. And, I wouldn't say I'm not the biggest Norm Macdonald fan. I wasn't a big fan of that dry, like, hey, that's all I hear when he talks. But, and then, he lost his job with Saturday Night Live because he kept making, O.J. Simpson jokes. And he was doing it all the time on Weekend Update. And then I think someone who was a big wig at Saturday Night Live was friends with O.J. Simpson. And they finally fired him because, they were like, they told him to stop. And then he kept sneaking the jokes in. Cause, whoever does the Weekend Update is usually like they're the writer. They write they're the head writer for the show. And whoever's the head writer usually does the Weekend Update. So he would just put him in anyway. And, and since it was live or whatever, it pissed off the wrong people and they fired him. So I said, he finally made O.J. Simpson laugh by dying. I just like I said before the break, there was the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. Showed us a little more. Showed us, we heard the Green Goblin. We saw the Green Goblin's bomb. And I think they've confirmed that that Willem Dafoe is going to be in the movie. But so I don't think they're doing a psych out.
They're keeping a lot of it quiet, but I find it so. What's his name there that played the last Spider-Man before Tom Holland?
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield keeps saying he's not in it.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, fans are going to be disappointed by what they see. And I'm like, well, then if you weren't in it, how would you know what the movie's going to be?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, because if he says he's in it, that's going to spoil it. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to, the same way they fired the person who leaked the No Way Home trailer, he can't say shit. So he's going to say I'm not in it for the time being. I could give two shits. I hate it.
Really hope.
I hate it.
I don't even care if he's not in it. I really just hope Tobey Maguire's. That's all I care about.
Yeah. You
and I hope that like he does the whole like even if they're not like I think what Andrew's alluding to is maybe you don't see all three Spider-Mans fighting these villains. But I think what'll happen is you'll see all three of them.
Yeah. You'll see somebody in that suit from those movies. But it's not Andrew Garfield. But it'll represent those movies though.
Right, and I think Tobey Maguire's in it because he's being way too quiet about things. And I'm just sitting here going, I think you're in it. And I think he's going, I mean, with Dr. Octopus being in it and them showing that, you're kind of just like, there's no way that you can't have Tobey Maguire in this.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way. There's no way you can't do that. Like, if you don't, yeah, people are going to get disappointed in us for fucking refunds. Like, you're going to get people pissed off, man.
And especially since Sam Raimi, the guy who directed those movies, is doing the next, Doctor Strange movie, so there's no way he's not in it. But once, he's just keeping his mouth shut. And then I actually saw the video of, I forgot the guy's name, Charlie Cox, the guy who plays the Daredevil in the the Netflix shows Daredevil. Even he did a video. He goes, I'm not going to say anything because I want to keep my job. He goes, he said they may want to hire me in the future and I'm not going to jeopardize that. So whether I'm in it or not, I'm not going to say a fucking thing.
And then there's like, so what's his name from Venom shows up in a picture with a Spider-Man No Way Home fucking
with a hat on, yeah.
I'm just like, are you fucking trolling people, or do you fucking have, like...
He's trolling.
Are you in that, too?
He's trolling.
So it's like, oh my god. And
because they want Spider-Man in the Venom movie.
Oh, it'll happen.
They want that, so I think he's smart enough to go, you know what, let's have fun with people. Get me one of those hats, because if you're in Hollywood, you can get one of those fucking hats and wear it just to sort of, like when they quote unquote released that leaked footage for the Deadpool trailer leaked. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so, it's really funny. Speaking of Spider-Man, and now we can kind of segue to Venom. I love the fact that since we've been gone, Venom has moved back and then up.
Yeah.
It went from, what was it, like, it was supposed to be, I think, either last weekend or this weekend it was supposed to play. And it got moved back into, like, October 15th, and then they saw how Shang-Chi did, and they were like, oh, well, we're going to move this up to October 1st. And I'm just like, okay. And then come to find out, it's like a fucking 90-minute movie, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is this, like... This movie is going to suck. Like, how are you going to do this movie in 90 minutes? Like, that just doesn't...
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see it with Venom, but I could be wrong.
And the whole thing is that, like, I didn't really like Venom 1. And all it's going to be is, and when at the end, what was Venom 1? He was him fighting another symbiote. One black blob fighting a gray blob. And now that's all that's going to be with this one. It's going to be Carnage. It's going to be a black blob fighting a red blob. And as much as, and don't be wrong, I love, I think the casting of, Woody Harrelson as Carnage is fucking fantastic, but I don't think they're going to do it justice. I don't think they're going to do it justice as the comic books have.
By the way, that's not me messaging you, Chris, by the way.
No, that's, I'm just worried if I put it on my phone, maybe I'll forget that it's on me. On what?
Your strippers. Your
my
whores.
Strippers. Oh, I gotta go sell the people, my Johns, the people who sell my ass to.
Oh my god. You see, he's trying to make money while he's doing the podcast. What the fuck?
Hey, I got business. So I mean, I like the idea that Woody Harrelson's in it. I don't think they're gonna do it justice. And I think, at the end it's gonna be, it's gonna be a CGI mess at the end of Carnage fighting Venom because they're the same thing, like I said, a black blob versus a red blob. And, and I know they're pushing really hard to have Spider-Man because they know Spider-Man's gonna be, Spider-Man's gonna save whatever the fuck they have. Like, even if it's fucking Tom Holland's in it for a second. Or they might even cheat and say, like, what if, like, with No Way Home, like, what if there is a cheat? What if it is Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire as that Spider-Man? Like, that's connected to those universes and not this universe.
I mean, well, no, you can't do that because there's the Topher Grace Venom, but let's not even go there.
Yeah. Well, people were trolling Topher Grace on Twitter, and you could tell he's a little bitter about it because, like, he goes, I'm going to tell you what happens in the movie, and he starts it like real serious, and this happens, and he goes, then Aquaman shows up and all this other shit, and you could tell, like, he's mad because of all the shit that everyone's like, yeah, bring this back, bring that back. Nobody's saying bring Topher Grace back.
Nope.
Nobody wants that shit.
So. Yeah, I mean, it'll be what it is.
And so, I was super excited about that. While I was staying on Marvel, the What If shows have been playing on Disney Plus. Every episode's incredible. Like, some are better than others, but, the one thing I noticed is that like beside the first episode was Captain Carter. It's like, what if Agent Carter became Captain America instead of Captain America? And all that was a retelling of Captain America, the first Avenger, just with Haley Atwell's character with Agent Carter. They just swapped, And that being said, besides that, all the other episodes have had basically an ending, maybe not exactly at the end, but it like meant fucking disaster for like the whole planet at least. Like they all kind of end on a down note, or at least like, cause like even like, what if Black Panther became Star-Lord? Okay, so Black Panther, he's a great guy and he saves the world and he saves the universe and he talks Thanos out of snapping his fingers and all this shit. But then, you see at the end, Ego, the living planet, Ego, whatever, meets up with Peter Quill to find his son. Why? Because he wants to take over the universe and he needs the power of his son. So like every episode kind of, well, spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched What If yet. But every episode, and then, like the Doctor Strange one just straight up ends where like Doctor Strange fights evil Doctor Strange and they fight each other to the fucking universe eats itself. It's like, oh shit. Every episode besides the Captain Carter one, the first one, has ended in a way that's sort of dark and like basically means like everybody's gonna die anyway. So it's like, I guess they're saying like it's good the way things are going in this universe, the main, A universe, because if shit wasn't going that way, we're all fucked. And then one of the characters, there's this character in the What If, we keep seeing like these tentacles. And there's one episode with Captain Carter and it's a character called Shuma Gorath. And it's basically like this big tentacled monster with a big eye. And he lives in the multiverse. Like I think like he's the same character in every universe. Like he goes through universes like nothing. So I think they keep having him in What If because I think he's gonna pop up in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. Like I think that's why they're giving us a taste of it now, so they don't have to explain, oh, there's this big fucking tentacled monster that lives in all the universes at once. And when eats timelines like that. So it seems more of a coincidence, more than a coincidence that that character's already been, I say he, but he, she, it, whatever, has already been in like 2 episodes or 3 episodes of What If, because I think they're just getting us ready for that character to be in Multiverse of Madness. Alright, Shang-Chi, staying on Marvel. I liked it. It wasn't bad. Everyone said how great it was, and it was good. The beginning was good. It's the ending that just left me like a lot of people complained about the ending of like the first Avengers, because it's like, okay, it's the Avengers versus an army of faceless, nameless monsters that you can kill indiscriminately. And so yeah, and what happens is in the end of not without spoiling too much of Shang-Chi, it's basically like now there's good monsters, there's monsters on the good side, and there's monsters on the bad side, and it's just CGI monsters fighting CGI monsters. Some are good, some are bad. We just got to try to keep track of who's winning. And so like as much as I like Shang-Chi and as much as I love like the first 2/3 of Shang-Chi, the third act, it's sort of like turns into fucking a bunch of fucking CGI characters fighting each other, and I don't find that compelling, especially that these characters, it's supposed to make us fall in love with the character. And okay, Shang-Chi, and I feel for him, and they finally revealed that yes, it was the Mandarin. This was the guy that was supposed to be in Iron Man 3, and they bring back what was his name? Oh my goodness. I want to say F. Murray Ray Abraham, but I know Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley, they bring him back as the fake Mandarin, as Nigel and stuff like that, and like it turns out the real Mandarin has kept him like prisoner in his dungeon for years and shit like that for sort of impersonating him. So I mean, it's good. Like I said, it's really good. Just the last act, like the big fight at the end, it's just seeing CGI monsters fighting CGI monsters, and I can't. I can't, even as much as I can't co-sign that. As much as I love Marvel, I mean, come on, man, give us a little more, something to pull on my fucking heartstrings. But the first part, and then Awkwafina stole the movie. Awkwafina, I mean, she's cute, and she has a New York accent, and I love that accent. She reminds me of a bunch of girls that I grew up with in New York City, that were like first generation Chinese, where, yes, their parents were like super strict, but, they spoke with an American accent, and they kind of, it wasn't about, Chinese was sort of like, okay, there's their culture and they respected it, but, they want to be American. I want to wear fucking Nike sneakers, and I want to go to fucking McDonald's, and, I'm not some fucking China doll. I'm not going to bind up my feet and wear a robe and fucking put my hair in a bun. I'm here to fucking have fun and shit like that. And that's what Awkwafina reminds me of. And so, and she's cute, she's cute and she's fun and she's funny. And so, she stole the movie. Cause the guy who plays Shang-Chi, he's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but he's like wallpaper. It's almost, if it wasn't for her, then the movie would have really sucked. So, okay, and I think... Oh my god, shit, I got a bunch of shit.
Well, let's end it.
Yeah, well, we got He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Because I know the last time we spoke, there was He-Man... It was just Masters of the Universe. That was on Netflix. That was the one that Kevin Smith was in charge of, and everyone lost their fucking mind because, like, He-Man... He doesn't die. Everyone says he dies. He-Man does not die. He gets sent to fucking another dimension. He gets sent to heaven, yeah, but it's not like he dies because he comes back. And then the whole show focuses on Teela and the other adventures. So now there's this new one, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is the proper name, means this is the one that's like through Hasbro and everything. And it looks like it looks like Fortnite, the animation.
Yeah, it's a kid's show.
Yeah, it's definitely for kids. And if the people who lost their shit over Revelations should be losing their shit over this, because Teela has white hair and she's a witch, and she was working for Evil Lynn, that they don't even call Evil Lynn yet. There's Evelyn, and then Duncan is Duncan is supposed to be Teela's father. But in this show, they're just both teenagers, and Duncan's just a kid that works for now. And I've only watched the first episode, but he's working for the bad guys. He's like a naive kid that kind of gets suckered for working for the bad guys when he's supposed to be Teela's dad and all this shit. So, I mean, all the people that were losing their fucking mind over Masters of the Universe, they're not losing their shit over He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but like you said, it's a kiddie show. It's literally for kids. Okay, let me see. I saw Louis C.K. the other day at the Kodak Center. Once again, I bought these tickets way before my unemployment ran out, and I couldn't even scalp those if I wanted to, because Louis C.K. didn't sell out the Kodak Center. So what am I going to do? Ask for money for tickets for the show that, you could go buy tickets for the, So, Rick and Morty had their last episode, the end of season 5, which, if you remember, they're supposed to have 10 seasons. Cartoon Network. So, spoilers, they actually destroyed the Citadel of Ricks. And I think, I felt like maybe they felt like they were getting painted into a corner by having the Citadel of Ricks stand in the background and shit like that. So they're like, fuck it. Well, the next second half of the show, let's just get rid of that so it's not like this thing hanging over our heads that it could always kind of come back to. So, they destroyed the Citadel. I mean, they still have Evil Morty, but he kind of explains why he's the Evil Morty and shit like that. The whole season was pretty good of Rick and Morty.
Was it better than season 4? Because I haven't watched it yet.
Oh shit, my bad. So spoilers. No, it's really good. I mean, the funny thing is, they kind of goof on whether they should have episodes that are like one shots, like every episode should be separate, and then there's episodes that have to do with canon, and with canon, like dealing with Bird Person and dealing with the Citadel of Ricks and all this other shit. And so that's kind of like a joke. Excuse me. This whole season was like, what do we do with canon, or should we go back to, Monster of the Week episodes?
I gotta catch up on that. I gotta catch up on some Toonami shows. It's really bad.
Yeah, so what they do is they basically, sorry for spoiling it, but they kind of blow up the Citadel of Ricks. And so I guess so they could do the second the next 5 years of the show that they still are contractually obligated to do, but they don't have to keep relying on that. They don't, they can be free and get all that. Okay. God of War, Ragnarok. They announced that game with Fat Thor, which, reminds me of, when they had Thor fat in Endgame. They announced Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, which back in the day was a Xbox exclusive, which now when they do the remake, the update, it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive, so Xbox people can kiss my ass. they announced a new Spider-Man video game, and this does have Miles Morales in it. It's not going to be multiplayer as of right now. There's not going to be a 2-player game. It's still going to be a single player like the first Spider-Man. It does have Miles Morales in it, so I'm pretty sure, like in the first Spider-Man game, there's times where you go and you play Miles or you'll play Mary Jane or whatever. So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to play Miles for like certain missions and shit like that. But it's not a 2-player game where your buddy can join you. But of course, the big reveal was that it's going to have Venom in it. Venom, who actually looks like Venom, and it's going to be voiced by Candyman himself, Tony Todd, which is like fucking perfect casting to have Tony Todd doing Venom. Comedian Jim Brewer, he canceled a bunch of shows in Jersey because Jersey is requiring people to have proof of vaccination before they go into the theater, and he's like, oh, I don't want. He was calling it discrimination. And, and as much as I love Jim Brewer, and, Jim Brewer, he's a big pot guy, he did that movie Half Baked, and, but for some reason he gets a little older and he gets fucking conservative, and, he's saying, like, he's literally canceling the shows because he calls it discrimination. No, it's not discrimination. It's people trying, it's a public safety, thing, and if your fans want to see you, they should get vaxxed. And so, but I guess his fans are so, right-leaning that he's going to cancel the shows in Jersey. So, and as I used to love Jim Brewer, I took a picture with him. I met him at a Metallica show, and I got a picture with him. But like now I'm like, What We Do in Shadows, great show. Just telling everyone to watch that show. The guy who played Omar in The Wire is dead. There's a show called Teenage Euthanasia, but it's not what you think. And it's from the same people who did Ugly Americans. It's sort of a goof. The whole story is sort of a goof on Anna Nicole Smith, which is sort of weird. It's kind of like you goof on someone who's already dead, and it's about bringing a gold digger back to life after she died. It's a weird, twisted kind of cartoon. I know the first episode came out the other day. I haven't watched it, but it seems interesting. Saw Free Guy. Free Guy was fucking awesome. I liked Free Guy, especially towards the end. I don't want to spoil it, but there's 2 or 3 real funny surprises towards the end of Free Guy. And, and it's certainly worth watching just for those few surprises. The Suicide Squad, once again, it's been so long since we recorded. The Suicide Squad came and went, obviously a million times better than Suicide Squad. I dug it. I saw it in the theaters. I actually went to the theaters to see it, and I came home and then watched it on HBO Max. James Gunn is a fucking genius. That they're and then they're using that movie to be a starting point that they're going to do with the John Cena show, The Peacemaker, that is also coming to HBO Max as a series. Joey Jordison, the drummer from one of the drummers from Slipknot died, because Slipknot has 3 drummers. Joey Jordison died. And then, I love, it's funny, all of these shows are FX shows, and it's like FX, then the next day they play them on Hulu.
Yeah.
So they got, you have Archer. Archer's been around for a while. Like I mentioned before, What We Do in Shadows. I fucking love that show so much. There's a show called Reservation Dogs. And you think, like, there was that movie by Quentin Tarantino years ago, Reservoir Dogs. And this one's called Reservation Dogs. Goofing on that name. And, one of the executive producers is Taika Waititi. And Taika Waititi, he's from New Zealand. And he is one of the natives. His bloodline is native of the people of New Zealand. And so he faced a lot of discrimination growing up because his skin was dark, and, New Zealand was colonized later on by white people. So, even though he has native blood in him, he was treated like shit, and kids, cursed at him, beat him up in school and shit like that. So him and this other person, he executive produced, but it's a show called Reservation Dogs, and it's about Native Americans living on a reservation, and it's really fucking funny, but it's also like a lot of heart. Like the episodes are like, for fucking pull on your heartstrings. And Taika Waititi is like, it's so good. And actually Taika Waititi is also behind, What We Do in Shadows. So Reservation Dogs, if you had a chance, I literally just watched the last episode the other day, so you could binge the whole season on Hulu if you have Hulu. I love it. And, my last thing is Y: The Last Man, which was based on the comic. And I know years and years and years ago, A friend of mine lent me the comic. I don't think it's based on the comic at all, but it's based on the premise of what if, we got hit with another plague and every man died. And what if every man died except one man? Why the last man? And, it's a good show. It's a little too dramatic for me. I guess it's for the same people who liked, Handmaid's Tale. It's in that same vein. It's a drama. The only thing is that, like, at least Handmaid's Tale had characters that you liked. This show, there's not one redeemable character. Everyone on the show is a fucking piece of shit. And so, I kind of like, there's this Secret Service agent on the show, which I kind of like, but, even though I like her, she's a fucking low-life piece of shit. And everyone on that show is a low-life piece. So it's a real interesting show about, a guy being the last person on Earth, the last male on Earth run by women. And it doesn't, it doesn't get all political like that. Like, it's not like now everyone's puppy dogs and fucking unicorns and shit. The world is still in peril. And it almost looks like it's like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing going on. And then, with him being like, he's the prize, he's like, and his character's the worst. He's the biggest fucking pussy beta male cocksucker. But I'll save that for another day. Anything you got before we sign off?
I'm just ready for bed.
All right, sorry. Thank you for letting me get all that shit out. Okay.
I mean, you're going to get it all out because you're going to be doing that with men and women eventually.
Gay for pay. So that being said, let's wrap this up.
That's what she said.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net and .com for all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes page. If you have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can listen to us on iTunes. If you don't have any of those, you have an Android device, you can find us on the Stitcher app, STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. We're pretty much where I listen to all my shows. Now I'm unemployed, so what I'll probably be doing is when I'm driving Uber and driving Lyft and stuff like that, I'll probably download episodes of podcasts, and I can't listen to them with customers in the car because they'll say, what the fuck are you listening to? But I generally put on listen later and available offline, so download them while you're at home on your Wi-Fi, and then while you're out and about, you don't have to kill your data, you don't have to kill your battery, you can listen later on as you're running your errands or driving people around town, or while you're donating blood while you're selling your plasma. You can listen to a podcast while you sit there for 45 minutes and pump your hands so you get all the blood or the plasma out. We want your money. We need your money. And I still haven't set up a fucking Patreon yet, and I should have by now. But you can support the show by liking our page on Facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. Like this episode, like the page, share this episode, share the page, do everything you can socially. It doesn't cost you a penny to do any of that on Facebook. If you want to write to us, and I haven't checked the Gmails, but I'm going to check the Gmail now, you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I'm going to see if we have anything from Oscar. I haven't heard from Oscar in so long, and I don't see anything from Oscar.
He's died again.
So maybe he died in the pandemic. And this is all our emails are just people, like, get your podcast a bigger audience or whatever. So, enough about that. Okay, so we have, and then of course, if you don't have iTunes or Stitcher, you can go right to the source, to our SoundCloud. Just go to SoundCloud, search for Two Strangers One Podcast. All the episodes are available for download, and you can listen to the last 4 or 5 years. We've hit 9 years of doing this podcast, and of course, we take 2 months in between episodes, but we're still running strong. I'm pretty sure I'll have some great stories when I get back from Comic-Con for the next podcast. If I survive. And once again, you can find us on SoundCloud. Listen, and anything before SoundCloud, anything before the episodes you get on SoundCloud, you can listen to all the 5 years before that, all the 9 years altogether on YouTube. Just go on YouTube, search for Two Strangers One Podcast. You can find all our old episodes. You can find my audiobook, Odd I See a Tale from the Road. You can find music that I put out under the name XLNYC. And you can even see the pilot cartoon. I took a whole year during during this whole pandemic. I took some time and I put together a cartoon just so I can, hopefully you guys will like it and enjoy it and it'll get picked up or something. You're just going to get it in front of the right eyes. But you can check out It's called Veil Corp, VeilCorp, Veil Corp, and that's on our YouTube page. Check everything out. And with that, I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
Took you long enough. So you can find me, as usual, on the Toonami Faithful podcast, which is available everywhere, including Amazon Music now, which they asked me to be on there, so I guess that means something. You can email me, paulpascrillo@toonamifaithful.com. You can find me on Twitter @paulpascrillo. And, yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. So we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening, had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. You should be fapping. It'll be $50, please.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You can stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right
No,
now.
sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.